Okay, we're back.
There we go. So we're just talking with Jeff. Talking, which the subject is long travel suspension today. Um, you know, why do we need it, and where do we need it, and things like that. And I know we got your car, and we have that contest going on. Before we totally say what your suspension travel is, that we give the hoodie away. We'll pick a winner on the side. I'll let you do that, Jasper, and then we'll send them a hoodie um, for the winner, and not have them message us for their stuff. That sounds cool with you?
Yeah, that sounds awesome. To me, some of it's about getting the crank up as high as you can. I feel like the higher you can get your motor, it's similar to moving it back.
Okay.
So with the extension, it allows your crank to get up higher and transfer weight a little easier. And obviously, it gives you a little more control. You can slowly rise it and put a little more power down at 60 foot from
Okay.
our experience.
So how do you measure the travel? Richard's asking.
We're measuring the travel off the front bar on the tube front end, the very front of it, and we put a
Mm-hmm.
tape measure on it. And as it went up, we measured how many inches it went from where it was.
Okay.
I'm trying real hard not to say, yeah.
I got you. I'll put a few guesses on the screen here. We got 13. We got 17 and a half. We got some 15. We got 10. 18. So we got a bunch of guesses all kind of over the place a little bit.
That's
Oh, see,
good. That's how you win at The Price is Right.
right. For
What
sure.
is this thing?
So,
Got glass in the end.
oh, there you go.
Look at
What,
that.
so when you're on, like Jeff was talking about on bad services, that the long travel is a lot more useful. Maybe you kind of explain that for people who don't understand that, the purpose of the long travel and the suspension differences.
Um, in my opinion, which is probably 70% wrong, um, it's about transferring. So when you have that much more travel and you can bring it up that fast, it'll plant the rear tire on a crappy surface.
Mm-hmm.
On a better surface, it plants the tire too quick and either you wheelie or it unloads the tire a ways out there because you're getting after it so hard. So on a horrible surface, you're not running that fast of a 60 foot. So the quicker you can get the front end up, the faster you can get out there rolling. On the better surfaces, like War in the Woods, compared to like the back of Myland or something, War in the Woods is faster, so you're getting after it harder. So you need that front end to come up slower.
Okay.
And limiting it's one way. You can limit the suspension and stop it from traveling so much, but that's all stuff you do on a stickier surface.
Now, what about? I know there's a lot of different brands out there and styles that people do different setups. I see people with the back tires down, the front end up set a little higher. Some are sitting flush, some have longer travel. Everybody has their different ways of setting their cars up to hook and go. If that makes sense. What, in your experience, what do you found that's really worked best for you?
I think a lot of people are probably not understanding ride height and how important it is. When I kind of feel like every car's got a ride height that they really want and that works. And then when you get to that ride height, you need to make sure if you're making bar adjustments, any sort of adjustment, that the car gets back to that ride height. So to me, it's kind of crucial. Mine sits a tiny bit up in the front, and all these things can change based off limitations too. Like some cars can't slam as good as some other cars. Some cars can't sit up because they're running out of their travel because they don't have as much, or an A-arms binding or something. So to me, I like it a little bit up in the front, but not like, not as drastic as Mountain Dew. But that's just from my experience. I mean, I haven't ran a car staggered that hard to be able to tell you firsthand that I think it does this or it does that.
And you brought a point up. From your other chassis to your red car, not your new one, but your other car you just had. Was there a difference in the setups between, or maybe all three of these? Is there a difference between them? How you have them set up?
Yeah, the orange car had like a 1/4 inch spacer or a 1/2 inch spacer or something under the K member, so you could slam it a little farther and get a little more travel out of your front shocks. So that one allowed me to set the ride height like more where I like it. But
Is that right there?
that's what's on the new car.
Okay.
And those I think are in 2 inches or an inch and 3/4 or something. I can't remember. I think they're 2 inches.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess I could measure real quick. Wherever a tape measure is.
Jeff will be back on too. Don't worry about it. Jeff's the middle driving to Ohio, so he'll be in and out.
Yeah, he's probably going to bounce on and off.
Yeah.
So this is hard with the laptop to like use the camera to show. Where are they? So they're right in there.
I got you right down there. I see you down there. You all can see behind the tire over there.
Right,
Yep,
right in there.
So that pops the K member down a little bit lower, bringing. Maybe you can explain all that to everybody, people who don't understand.
Well, once again, it kind of gets your motor up there a little higher, ride height wise, and the main thing to me that the spacers do is allow you to drop your shock farther down into the body so that you're actually using all of the travel that the shock has. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, when you set ride height, it's sitting up. So you'll have like 4 inches of shaft showing on with an unspaced one, and I have like 1 inch, or I have about an inch or an inch and a half of shaft showing.
Okay.
And then like my car has some prototype front struts that me and Jeff ran. Jeff ran them for one event at War in the Woods and kind of broke them because they're not. That's why we're not making them for other people, or Jeff's not making them for other people. But it's a little longer. It's about an inch and a half longer than the ones he makes. And what the problem is the shaft is coming so far out that it don't try to come straight back down in. So it's obviously going to wear the seal out pretty quick. And it can also, in a big wheelie, if it comes down hard, it'll bind and it'll snap it off. And so I love them, though. I love how well they work. So I've just kept running them, but eventually we're going to have to switch those out because it was a little too far, at least for the bodies that we're using.
Okay. That makes sense. Jeff, we were just talking about the difference between the inch and a half more travel on the strut that he has versus the normal ones that are for sale.
Can you hear us, Jeff?
I can hear Jasper pretty good, but I can't hear Brian hardly at all.
So we were talking about how I have like a different strut than everyone else that you ran at War in the Woods.
Yeah.
And I was explaining to him how it's not something that anyone probably wants, and it's going to wear seals out or possibly break the shaft because it just doesn't want to come back in straight because it's so long.
Yeah, I mean it's a little overboard, but you got to experiment to figure out how far you can take something before it's a problem. You know, Jasper has that. I mean, that'll probably be fun for quite a while, barring any kind of a big wheelie or something like that.
Something else we were talking about, Jeff. What was your feelings on ride height? Like, you know, like Mountain Dew's ride height compared to your ride height or position, you know, like some like the rear squatted, some like it flat, some like it nose down.
I think it's best if the car's level or a little higher in the front. And that's where the billet K-member spacers I make, I think, really help because essentially, you know, I get that question every single day. What do the K-member spacers do? Well, they raise the ride height of the front of the car to allow you to compress your strut more, which in turn gives you more up travel in your struts. You know, when you got the real long travel struts, you have to compress the strut in order to have more up travel. So they basically allow you to do that. They help with that scenario, you know.
Yep, that's pretty much what I thought too. How much?
Another big thing, like you guys were saying earlier. I mean, I've probably got 7 or 8 guys out there that run back of the track stuff one weekend, radial stuff the next weekend, and a couple of them have been super successful, and they're not running limiters or nothing. So another thing, and I always tell every customer this, and it applies to me or everybody. It's your suspension is just like your tune up for power. You know what I mean? Like, you get on a street where the first 80 feet is really good, you got to tighten them front struts up. And if you do, you won't have, long travel struts don't cause wheelies. Poor suspension tune up do. Or, too much power, too much weight in the back. A lot of, you know what I mean? There's so many factors that go into everything.
Yeah.
One thing you'll notice is the guys that are super, super hard to beat are very good at all that. You know what I mean? So, you get a handle on where to set your rebound and according to the surface you're on, and that makes a big difference. You know what I mean? When you tighten them front shocks way up or just the right amount, you can put some power to it in a 60 foot, but yet out there on a street where the street starts getting bad, then they start to extend and transfer weight, and it helps you. So there's there's a lot to it. The guys that are really good at that, you can see it. That's for sure.
Yeah, and it's hard when you don't have the car there trying to diag their problems when you don't know like what their center of gravity is, what their instant center is, what their bar angles are.
Oh yeah.
All that's tough. Like, they could be climbing the ring gear, or they could have it all screwed up, and so it's tough sometimes when people call or ask questions or want to know. It's hard without knowing every single aspect of it. That's why, like, if you have a Mustang and you have like performance trends software or whatever, it's real easy to figure out where you need to be.
This is the software you were talking about right here, Jasper, performance trends.
Yep.
And I think you were going. Is that that one
You
there?
click that's circle track, but that might be the same thing. Go down. Yeah, I mean I think that's the same software, but I went through the drag racing one or whatever.
Yeah, but it helps you figure out all the angles and extensions.
Yeah, and why I say like Mustang is because the Mustang dimensions and measurements are all online, or you can find them, or they're easy to get. Right there. And then other cars are a little tougher. You actually got to go measure a bunch of stuff and figure it out. Really, really, really cool software.
Yeah, it's an awesome resource, and all the everything they have available on there. I think I'll put a link to that below in the comments for everybody.
Nick Taylor's who turned me onto it. I stopped by his shop before driving to Jeff's in an ice storm, and I was watching his laptop and him showing me a bunch of stuff on it, and it was really cool. So awesome. I owe Nick Taylor for that.
That's huge.
Mr. Awesome. Street Outlaws, big tire racer extraordinaire.
No, I had a question. Any info on the G-body long travel setups at all? That's becoming a hot topic lately.
Was that Jeep? Did you ask about G-body?
Yep, G-body long travel. Any info?
Yeah, we've been doing quite a bit of that. We've got a little kind of kit together, and Jasper and them guys just did one. I got some guys in Georgia. I got quite a few of those out there too that work really good. Makes a huge difference. With an A-arm car, the geometry of the front suspension multiplies it, where you actually have more travel with less stroke in the shock. So, it just requires a little fab work on the G-bodies, S10s, all those. It's not like a bolt-on kit, not with stock front frame rails.
Did you buy this thing? Yeah. Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
Jasper, is that kind of like what you had to do on your car with the setup on the top up there?
No, this was more on Mark's car. We had to plasma cut the frame, and then and you can cut it any way you want. We just chose a plasma cutter. You cut a hole and then you weld on a bracket, and that bracket is like kind of like a rear end shock mount bracket type thing, and you can then adjust the shock up or down. I will say, like, some of the people have found clever ways to put longer ones in. Like, I think Adam and them at Mac, I think they make their own upper A arm or whatever, and it like is almost like a giant U, I imagine, so that it don't bottom out on the frame part and end up stopping the full travel of the shot. So like there is some custom things you could do if you were like a gangster and wanted to make your own upper A arm, or you're like Jeff and you just re-weld the end on because you don't like how the ball joint is. If you want to do some stuff like that, I think you could get some more travel, but Mark ended up with about 5 inches more than he had in the old setup. So that's huge, like gigantically huge for his car. I can't wait till I think he got to Arizona today. So hopefully he gets some testing in and lets me know real quick because we did a lot.
Yeah, on
Yeah, I'll
car,
install them,
like
Richard.
I got a couple S10s with a 7-inch stroke shock on the front. They have almost 10 inches of travel at the wheel. So, and my opinion is, I mean, at that, you got a limit to what you're doing on travel. I mean, this isn't just going to keep going to where somebody has 16 or 18 inches. It's not going to be benefit. It gets to a point there where it's not helping you anymore. It's kind of like the teeter
Same.
game, you know what I mean? You're just trying to get the car to transfer. Like Jasper said, the higher the center line of the crankshaft is, the better the car is going to transfer weight to the rear wheels, and all that stored energy in the springs when you let go of the button helps push the car up, helps it plant the tire, and on a bad surface, it's a big help. The G bodies, S10s, all them require some fab work. They're all going to, but they work equally as good if everything's right. I mean, I've got a couple of them out there with, we're using rear shocks on the front that I revalve, and it's very similar to the same thing as the Fox body. It works. My Nova was done like that kind of before this big trend started.
Yep. Yeah, there's a limit. I believe that we found it. Like, I haven't got to test this one yet, but it definitely probably has about 1.5 inches, 2 inches more travel than the white car or the orange car. Based off, we run a different lower arm on this one, and the spacers are bigger on this one than the other one, and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't even know if we're going to be able to use all that. Like when it's all the way up and you're actually looking at it in person, yeah, I mean, you're not going to see the front of the track. I mean, we literally have a guy building us plexiglass removable floor pieces right now so that maybe if I start getting off the track, I can see through the floor that I'm hitting the grass because it might ride too high. If it does work, obviously we're going to try to send it, but I think we've probably got to a point where it's going to be real hard not to power wheelie if it is hooking good with it riding that ridiculous. So we are not sure, and we're pretty sure though we've hit the limit. So like Jeff said, there's definitely too far for anything you're ever going to do.
And here's a good question Aaron had. What is the average crank center line?
Oh,
I guess he's trying to figure out where's a good place to put it, basically.
As high as you can get it.
You would consider average, but
I don't know what the average would be.
I mean, I don't think there would really be an average. I mean, like if you were talking about what, I will throw a number out there and say 13 inches.
What's it say?
I'll
measure mine real quick.
I know, like my big block and my Mustang is up closer to like 15 3/4. That's where I have it set at. But that's different on all different kinds of. I know you're talking about for no prep. I know, like I can give you an example. That car King Turtle, the nitrous LS combo. That motor's raised way up in the chassis, and if you've ever noticed, that thing will wheelie on the worst surface on the planet. You know what I mean? I'm sure he's got a lot of weight in the back too, but I mean, that definitely makes a big difference, you know.
So having the crank higher, does the wheels pop up a lot easier versus having it down lower?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
So a stock Mustang is 13.5 inches, 14 inches, somewhere in there. Mine's sitting at 18.
Yeah. At ride height?
Yep. If I go measure it right now, it sits at 18.
Yeah. Yeah, so Jasper's is way up there.
But I'm also double frame rail.
Yeah.
So it's up there.
So what's the difference between like a single frame rail and a double frame rail? Does that make a difference at all? For people who may not understand?
What the deal is you cut the whole tunnel out pretty much, and it allows you to raise the motor and tranny.
Okay.
I mean, it's way safer too with all the bars, but like that's how I'm getting my motor way up like that. And the trick that we're trying to pull is if they are going to make a firewall rule, my firewall is stock location, so they can't really say anything about my firewall. They can ban me for my floor or whatever, but we're just trying to take the most advantage of staying possibly in the rules of what's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I'd cut the firewall clean out of it and put it right at the window.
I got you. So I'll make standardized rules. We'll get into that another day. You know.
I'm just making my case already.
No bars. Yeah, I hear you. No bars and steel roof and quarters. We're good. You know? That'd be nice. Alrighty. Oh, Aaron, he wrote he has 14 and 7 inches of travel in his crank.
Yeah, but okay. So, Aaron, what's your mid plate to middle of the axle measurement in that car? Because I bet it's extremely short. I bet he's around like, I don't know, 75 inches probably from his mid plate to the center of the rear end. So like he's making up what I'm making up by raising the motor and doing those other things. He's just probably surpassing what I'm doing by just having his motor sit back that far. And then, you know, like everyone throwing a fit about where the motor is. It's like Jeff said over and over. This only helps on a really, really shitty track. If you go somewhere else, you're going to be adding weight to the front because your motor is so far back. So
give an example of some tracks that are bad that, you know, where it's beneficial so people help them understand.
So like the back of Milan, the Come Up, Darlington, Muncie's Big End Banger. If they do a back end race at Cincy, probably Happy's for the first race of the year, just that one. And then that track's probably going to be real fast. Anywhere that's virgin for the first so many rounds. I mean, all that helps out with the motor way in the back. If you're running, if you're like running 120 60 foots or 114s at the place you're at, then your motor being back isn't gaining you anything. You're adding weight to the front to even get down, and you're turning the struts down, like Jeff said, or tightening them up and possibly limiting them. So everyone crying about it, it's hit or miss of if that's even a benefit or a fault. So no one wants to add weight back to the front of their car. That sounds horrible. Yeah. So it's either way, you know, like sometimes it's a benefit, sometimes it's not.
Aaron put a post on the screen there for you.
Yeah, so he definitely, God, it's 95 inches wheelbase, cylinder ones in front of the strut. It's probably like 10 inches. I don't know. I guess so. You're probably like an 80 or something would be my guess. But that's still pretty good. That's why that car works, Aaron.
So is there a difference? So help people understand a little bit on the adjustments. Like, what do they adjust? Maybe some people who have no idea whatsadder, and they're trying to get into doing this kind of setup like you're doing. limiting travel, like where should they start out, or any suggestions at all? Kind of go through the basics, explain how it works, maybe.
Well, strut wise, I would just recommend getting as much travel as you can get because you can always limit it. You can't add it.
Okay.
So, minus doing what I'm doing, where you're running a part that's, either wearing seals really hard or possibly going to break or something, that isn't recommended. And Jeff, for the record, has argued with me to bring it back and give me the right one. And like I said, whatever's going on with this one, I really love it. So I've just been running it. But I would say as much travel as you want. When it comes to bar adjustments, that all depends. If you have a stock Mustang, and it doesn't have Marty boxes, and you don't have like adjustment hole, they have like a kit that you can put adjustment holes on the upper arms, and you can weld on the brackets to make adjustments on the lowers. If you don't have any of that on there, your bar angle is what it is. It bolts right in the stock location. If you have those, there's just a lot of math to that. You want to know where your center of gravity is, probably to start, and that would be extremely hard without that program. I don't even honestly know how you would go about that. I'm sure someone with scales and a calculator can probably figure it out, but I would have no clue. And then once you figure that out, you have a line from the bottom of your like front spindle to the top of the rear axle, and that's like your anti-squat or squat line, kind of your instant center. And if it's below it, it's going to squat, and if it's above it, it's going to separate. And I prefer to run separation, not like a radial car separating, but I do like separation. And some people like squat. We've used squat. We weren't as fast with it. We also didn't spend as much time with it. And we separate a little, and I feel it helps when you have so much extension up front. And I like anti-squat with weight. So those bar angles based off, like you have two bars, and if your upper one's like this and your bottom one's like this or whatever, wherever they cross in the middle is where your dot is, and you want it above that line, in my opinion. And you want it close to the center of gravity, or if anything, back. It just all depends what you're trying to do and what track. Once again, like if you're on a really sticky track, you probably want it way out front. If you're on a real sketchy track or whatever, you probably want it towards the back. And like you can see in that photo right there, that circle in the middle, I believe, is the center of gravity. And then you can see the line coming off the top of the tire to the bottom of the tire. And then you can see the bar angles right there. Where they cross is where your instant center is. I truly believe people should be paying way more attention to this stuff instead of how much power they can put in them, because hardly any of us are running all of it out the bag. So
I agree. I think it's very important.
This is where it's won and lost. Minus, getting lucky or whatever, which happens a lot in our sport because we're racing on crap.
For everybody who's just who's been on here for a little bit, I'm going to do one more time before we announce a winner. I'm just going to play the video real quick, Jasper, if you don't mind.
Yeah, that's fine. Yes.
So everybody, I want you to guess how much travel there is here. We're going to be giving away a hoodie. You guys are going to love this one. So MSK, no prep racing is kind of like sex, better without the rubber and raw without the concrete. New hoodie coming, getting released next week. And here's the video. How many inches of travel does... All right. I put more time into setting up the engine too.
That's not a horrible idea.
There's another one he says is baseline suspension. It's in center of gravity. If you saw nothing other, I'll look that up.
Yeah, that one might be cool. That one might be free. I don't know for sure, but
Is the other one free, or is that a purchase software?
no, you got to buy that. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was like $145 or something.
Okay, but it's well worth it from what I've seen. So
Yes.
I've seen what's come out of your garage and been very impressed. That's all I got to say.
If we could, we'd take as many prayers and well wishings for old Jeff tomorrow, since he's got that court case on that dirty cop that impounded his truck, trailer, and car.
That's crazy. No need for that, man.
Man,
Definitely agree about
I'll
that.
tell you what, it was our fault, to be honest. Me and Jeff definitely knew better when the two motorcycles at the spot before we got caught at that outran the cop that took off from him or whatever. We pretty much knew it was, you didn't want to get caught after that, because they were going to be super pissed off. And I don't know, the other race got rained out. We wanted to race. That's what happened.
Yeah, that's what happens. You're right. Oh, well, I got time to pay the piper, ain't it?
Well, we're all wishing you good luck and praying for you. And any helping you for anybody, I'm sure they'll be willing to help. So
Appreciate it.
definitely, for sure. No problem. So we have, if you scroll through the list right there, Jasper.
I scrolled through a couple people guessed.
Okay, and then they have, hold on. Oop. I'm looking for, you see those numbers there and those names?
Yeah, I see 16, 12, 11, 14 and a half, and 15 and 3/4, and none of those are right.
Okay. Have you seen one that is the right number?
I did see one over here. Let's see. Oh, I guess people have been guessing 100,000 times in a row.
You changed his number a few times. Which one do we take? Yeah, right?
So I guess I'll leave that up to you. The answer is 13 inches.
13 inches of travel. Okay. So let's take a look. I see one winner out of everybody. So we have a winner. And right here, Henry Lucklier won the hoodie. And we'll shout out to you after the show and get your information so we can ship that out to you, Henry. You're the only one to guess that exact number. No, actually, yeah. So Henry's the winner there.
It looks like you got two. Someone on Facebook guessed 13 too.
I kind of did eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and I picked one of the two that I saw on there.
Okay, that's cool.
I saw down 2 comments below. I did see it.
Okay,
I just kind of
sure.
like eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and then that's the one that won. So out of the two that I saw there. All right. Well, thank you much. Do you have any other? Do you want to kind of show your front end right there, kind of what you're doing with the bars and how it's mounted and everything? Kind of explain it to everybody real quick.
Yeah.
I'll give a visual picture to everybody.
I'll have the GoPro working next week, so I ain't got to carry a laptop around. You got one of those lights, Jacob, right there? So we run the stock spindles because it puts it up a little higher too. I'm not a fan of the drop spindles.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a lot of work in this bump steer right here. A lot of work in the bump steer to get it so that as the tires raise, they don't, toe in really hard. And then we run a normal camber plate up here. And we're actually going to switch that. We're just going to make our own because I don't like exactly where the wheel is. So I'm just going to weld up my own plate and cut that circle off and weld it to it.
Do you mind if we go back to that? Okay, go ahead.
I can't tell if you're seeing this or not. In the rear, we have it set up like this. There's really nothing too special about it. Every Mustang ever with an anti-roll bar and a couple things. We do have Marty boxes, so it allows us to make our adjustments in the front or the rear.
Can you show that? Do you mind?
And it's so far under there, and it's not on the hoist.
Okay, no problem. So on the camber plates, maybe help some people too with adjustment. I know that can make a difference. Are you towing in or are you towing out? What are you doing with the camber plates on the top of the ship?
When you go to the long travel, you kind of need to push them towards the motor as far as you can.
For bringing them, towing them in.
Yeah,
Okay.
because your wheels sit like, let me try to line up correctly. So your wheels sit like this or whatever, and then they go like this as you come up.
Yep.
So
You try to counter
preferably,
that.
in my opinion, they sit a tiny bit like this, not that drastic, but like a little bit like this, so that they're not that far when you get up. Because most people, or at least I do, you should be aligning the car with it where you think it's going to ride for most of the track. So I usually shoot for a little bit over the middle of the extension and then get it really close and cross my fingers.
So you're talking about the difference in how the tire sits when it's in the air and when it comes down. Does it make a difference? Right, the camera. So does it make a difference if it's like this versus like this? Is it how it bites when it lands down or something? Is it just to help people understand?
Why I'm trying to adjust it with it like on a hoist halfway up in the air or whatever, or halfway through its travel, is it does move. The camber will move in, like the top of the tire will come out as it goes up. So like I try to put mine a tiny bit in so that as it comes up, it don't go out as far.
Yep.
So, or just at least that's where it's ending up with mine. And then the toe in or whatever, how it like tries to toe in, that's like I said, that's all in that bump steer. You need that to match your arm as close as you can possibly get it. Like I said, we went through 100 different like spacers that we had made from our buddy at Bobby Built, who like builds us everything overnight and stuff. He's amazing. Honest to God. Rob Locke is who that is. He's worked at machine shops his whole life. So like we have him custom make us stuff all the time. He's the original inventor, creator, Phil's the idea man on it, but that crank sensor part that we made that allows you to run like a Hall effect sensor in the stock LS location with a stock LS wheel on the crank, 58 or 24. And it allows you to run that sensor that you can adjust the gap on. Plus, they're a better sensor, in my opinion.
Richard had a question there for you, too. Richard on the screen there. Oh.
Yeah, no, he's right. It can cause tire wobble.
Aaron wrote a comment, too, steering control.
Is he talking about like a dampener or something, or just meaning like that's why you got to adjust the bump steer? Or, I guess I don't fully know what that one means.
Maybe we're talking about with the spacers, maybe.
Yeah, that's controlling the steering, like so that it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't toe in or doesn't move as it comes up. They don't try to pull the front of the tires in or out.
Just try to make those lines parallel.
Yeah, you want the bottom of your A arm and your tie rod end to be pretty much parallel.
Okay, that makes sense. I think you've covered most of it. I mean, so if anybody ever wants to have these long travel suspension put in, set up in their cars, Jasper and the Second Tight crew have all the experience of doing that and the know-how how to do it. And he can definitely help you with you guys' cars and projects. So he does offer that service to help people up here in the north. We are going to be starting a new series with Jasper. We're going to be doing builds and work that he's got going on in his garage. I'm working on the first video from the first builds from their accident. We're going to release all of that as being the kind of first episode going to things, and we're going to start filming going forward here, regular episodes. So if you want to see your car on TV, you can do that. But if you don't have to. You can clearly say that, But there'll be projects for their own team and what they got going on, and we'll be doing different projects with them. So you'll see videos here and there coming through on the channel. We're starting to roll through with that a little bit here and getting that going. And if you guys got any more questions for Jasper or any more suspension questions at all that you guys have, put them down in the comments down there.
I will say that probably a lot of the content will be hilarious because you've been here, Brian, and you see how we operate. And
Yes, indeed. That's what it
I
needs to be.
imagine most of these people are too young to know the Three Stooges, but like we're like 8 Stooges, and we're screaming and yelling at each other sometimes, and then we might be hugging and passing a peace pipe or who knows what. So yeah, like we used to roll into the drag strip and instantly roll all the windows down on the truck and blare yakety sax just so everyone knew what we were about as we got there. Like we didn't want any question in anyone's mind. We just wanted them to know, like, these dudes are clowns.
Oh, that's good.
And we definitely, like, one bonus is when we don't know, we tell you, you know, like if we don't know, we don't know. And we're willing to test or try something, or if someone's got an idea. I mean, we've gotten so much help off so many people. So it has definitely not been like just one person studying like mad. Everyone's kind of got their own specialty, and us together work. We use bipolar a ton. Bipolar just this last week. I mean, I ran down there and grabbed 90s for my turbo kit because when we put my motor in, none of it fit because we have those gigantic Frankenstein heads. So, yup. And then Jeff Thomas was at Bipolar this week getting Marty boxes put in. They help a ton. They give us stuff all the time. They'll literally send people up here to help us too. So between all of us, I mean, it works. It takes a village, and we've got a really cool village around us that help out.
Awesome. So, well, that's our goals, is to put on a good show for everybody. I think you guys will all have a good time, some good laughs, and you'll learn a lot. And who knows where this is going to take it from here, you know? So looking forward to having a little bit of fun. Keep Intercheck Sundays, but you'll see episodes kind of pop in here and there. So looking forward to that. And I think that's pretty much about it. Just going to wrap it up for today. Henry, I'll hit you up here in a little bit to get your information for the hoodie. And appreciate you guys all for putting your guesses in. And for that, I hope you enjoy the hoodie. I think everybody's going to laugh at you when they see that. So definitely. Well, thank you. I appreciate yours and Jeff Thomas, and good luck to Jeff Thomas in his case out there. He definitely needs that. And
yeah, everyone say a prayer that goes smooth and he keeps his license.
Yeah, hopefully I don't go through that. I know others have gone through it, and that sucks. So hopefully all goes well.
Yep.
Definitely. Alrighty. Anything you want to add at all, Jasper, at all, or?
I guess I'll thank Amsoil, Riverside Gear. I hate doing this because I'm going to forget someone, and I feel absolutely horrible for that. Johnny Applesauce, Jacob Heisler, Maynard Backoffen, Phil West, Everett and Carrie LaForge, Michelle Wolf, Bobby Blockums, just all the people that help us. Joe Williams, Tony Krisham, Corey Malone, Bobby Burton, Diamond Hugo, Lorenzo Zay. Like I said, man, I can't do it without those guys. My wife is out of this world. Like, I know some of you probably think you got a sweet wife. Mine's better. Like, I have 3 kids and 1 on the way, and she puts up with all this crap and me going everywhere. She'll leave me soon, but just don't be mad at her when she does, because it was warranted. I promise. And other than that, man, thanks, Brian. I like hearing other people comment too, and see what they're thinking or what they're doing. And if people have ideas for us, let us know. We might try them.
Definitely. And we also have a new hoodie coming out next week, you guys. We'll have pre-orders going. Tentatively, it looks like it's going to be about 45 a hoodie, but we're going to verify that in any size. And other than that, I think just regular events that are coming up, and I think we're good to go. And we also have another channel, MSK Midnight Streets, more kind of the street side of things with Happy. Excuse me. You guys are going to see just pure street action going on over there on that side of the channel. So you guys want to go check out our YouTube channel and or the page with that. You can go ahead and check that out. So this is different. MSK, we do tracks. We do all the things that we do with our shows and everything else. But that's just purely all streets, something separate and different, kind of like.
Amen.
Yep. We'll leave it at that. Secret stuff.
If Happy's running it and the crew they got with Butterface and stuff, it'll be good content. I promise.
Definitely. All right, guys. We will catch you all later. You'll have a happy Sunday, and we'll see you next on the Thursday show. Take care. Peace out.
Thanks.